Hello and welcome to Retro Cars Reborn. I'm Lee, and in this episode we're going to do more work on the Capri, which is behind me, as you can see. So yeah, let's just get on with it. Let's see what we're going to do today. So in the last episode we finished this off. Basically got it looking as factory as possible. In my Instagram account, I've been updating all these little tiny jobs that I've done. You know, just getting all the seam sealer and all the crap out of these wheel wells. So, this episode, let's deal with this hole back here. And also deal with the rust in here, which is also a hole. Look, I don't think it's going to be too difficult to take this panel out and put a fresh one in. There's plenty of roost. As you can see, I'd already put a rear panel in it years ago. There's a bit of rust in there now from where the old one used to be, but we'll just grind all this back and put some rust coating on it. So yeah, let's get in here and see what we can do about it, eh? Well, I don't know if you can hear me very well because I've got the fan running on like full blast to keep me wind in here because it's freaking warm. So my plan of action for this is I'm going to cut along the rusty bit, because as you can see the inside of the car, the actual boot, the side bits in the boot run parallel to that. So we're going to cut down here, and then I'm going to attempt to get rid of where all this spot welded piece is across there. I'm going to cut again along this bottom line, and then I'll attempt to get this skin off from this under skin, because I'm going to try to save as much as possible. I don't want to have to cut this all completely out and just redo it. But let's get this bit cut out and we'll see what it's like. As you can see, it comes down at an angle. So yeah, let's cut this out and we'll see what it's like. Well, it cut out pretty easy, so that's good. And we got pretty close to the inside of the car. As close as I could possibly get. So hopefully we can just grind through these spot welds. I mean, I'm going to try drilling a couple of them, but I think the metal's so rotten, grinding it off will probably be the best option, and we're going to have to plug weld it back on. I'm hoping we can just cut down this in sections and peel it up, and probably again grind through the spot welds, because we're not going to be able to get in there to drill them. We shall see. Still in the process of cutting it out. It looks like I'm going to have to cut this lower piece out. Only there though. It's still quite difficult to get into, seeing as the rear panel is here. But I got one section completely cut out. There, look. It leaves a very rusty ledge behind, but it's going to be cleaned up, so the spot welder will be able to do its thing, at least. But yeah, getting there. It's really difficult to get tools in here to get this rusty crap out. So yeah, I'm just going to keep working at it, and we'll be back. Hopefully it'll all be out and be ready to make a template and put a new panel in. So I managed to grind back the spot welds that run across the top. As you can see, in the process of doing that, I discovered loads of holes. So now I'm going to have to cut this piece out that runs across the top of here to about here, and put a nice new slither of metal in. So yes, that's going to be interesting. So I was just going to cut around these holes that were here and here, but I think the plan is going to be easier is if I just cut all the way along here, all the way along, and we cut all the way along the top, and we just put a fresh piece of metal in there. So I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to try and cut this piece of rot out here, because I don't want to go too far down, because there's not a lot of room in order to actually be able to get in here. But I won't be able to grind these down better now than I ever did I'm going to say 4 years ago when I did that. Well, it was easier to cut that out than I thought. And look what's still in there. Still expanding foam in there from when Ford filled these lower rear quarters with expanding foam for sound. So the 4 years ago when I replaced these rear quarters, when you cut them off, you have to dig all of the expanding foam out basically to get them to be replaced without catching fire. And well, there's still some in there hidden in this little bit, but you know, I'm not too fussed about that. If that catches fire, it'll just burn out anyway. It's only a small amount. I mean, it's a really small amount, not tiny amount. Right, let's get a little plate knocked up to go in there, and let's get it welded in. Can you hear that rain? Well, I've got the piece cut. That's some fresh steel. Now let's see what it's going to be like to weld in. I'm not holding any hope for this because it's very thin. So I've gone with the closest gauge steel I've got. So let's tack it in place, and I'll come back and I'll show you what the hell it's like. I don't think it's going to go in very well. I think it's going to just explode and destroy everything. Well, I've got it tacked in, and it actually has fit better than I actually expected it to. I had to make a little bend on the end because it curves around, because I cut up into it too much. I didn't leave as much at the bottom here as I did. Wow. I left quite a lot in this corner, as you can see, and then next to nothing there, but it's all gone on, so I can't complain. So now we've just got to clean it all again, and then we'll weld it in. And now I've got to clean all of this here before I put in this piece, and then obviously also I've got to put this rail back in here because it's all rotted away, and then we literally just got to make the panel that goes back in there, and this piece of floor is done. I knew we'd run into a problem. So there's the first bit of welding I've just put down, and then the second bit, look what it did. It blew a whole massive hole in it immediately. It's ridiculous. It just means that there was a little bit of rust in this top panel, and you just can't there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. So the plan is you start here, you move to here, and then you move down to here, and by the time you've done this bottom corner, you can come back to this corner because it will have cooled down, and basically just keep moving around, just filling in the little spaces, and that stops the whole thing from warping. But you can't help the hidden rust on the other side of the panel. What are you going to do about it? I think I'll fill in this little piece here, because corners are always a pain in the ass. So funnily enough, I thought that this bottom would be the one that would cause me the most problems because it's the thinnest piece of steel, right? But no, the bit that keeps blowing all the holes in the top is the top, which is kind of annoying, but we shall persevere. We'll see what happens at this top in a minute. and see if it burns through. But yeah, it's the top that's causing the issues, not the bottom. Very surprised by that. Very surprised indeed. It blew some holes. So that's one hole that it blew. There's another one. There's a big one in the corner. There's one there. A little one in this bottom corner. So my plan is I'll grind it back and then we can repair the holes. So I've ground it back and there's only one little hole to deal with, so it's not too bad. It hasn't turned out bad at all. So now I've got to look at cutting this piece out, probably only down to where the rust starts. Make a panel that'll fit in there so we get our ledge back, and then we've just got to make the panel that sits in there. Easy peasy. Well, there's my repair panel made up and it fits perfectly. It's actually hopefully going to weld in really good. So we're just going to grind it all back, make it all nice and clean, and then we'll get it welded in. I don't know how loud also the fan is going to be on camera, but it's doing a very good job of blowing a super tank. Yes. So let's get this welded in. It didn't weld in there too bad. I had to fill a hole here and a hole at the back, and it blew through the top look. But it doesn't matter because there's going to be another layer on top of that, and another layer on top of that shortly. So my plan is to weld that piece that's in the back there once the car's off the rotisserie, because where I've got the rotisserie mounted at the back lock using the box section tubing, it's in the way. So basically I'll weld that after. Well, yeah, let's get this ground down and then let's get ready for the final piece. So I got that bit welded in. Unfortunately, I can't get all the way down into this corner here because of the rear balance. As you can see, you hit it before you can do that away, but it doesn't matter because the amount of seam sealer that's going to go into that area will cover it up. So with that piece now welded in, we've got our shelf back completely all the way along. So now we can look into building our piece that goes across the top and get spot welded all the way along here. So I've got me a nice template made up. It fits in here really nice, apart from I cut the front a little too short, so I need to remember to leave a little bit extra on the front because that needs a flap that comes down and basically goes onto this piece here. So I'm going to go cut some nice fresh metal for this, and then we can fit it in place and basically see how good it's going to look in there. And from cardboard template to sheet of metal, I don't think it looks too bad at all. So yeah, it's just going to be a nice case of spot welding across there. Oh, well, we're gonna have to clean that rust up, otherwise it ain't gonna stick. And then we're also gonna pop some holes in the top to plug weld it to the piece that we slotted in. I think, actually, thinking about it, I'm going to have to trim this top piece down, because I don't think the original piece went all the way up to that. I think it was in the middle of it. I'll review the video footage of the original piece before I decide to weld it in. I might have to cut it slightly. Yeah, we'll see. So I've done loads of final test fitting, and it's in and it fits. So we're going to start off by, I'm going to spot weld all the way down here to hold this piece in, and then that'll allow me to push it back to get these plug welds in all the way along, and then we should have a boot floor. So I've run a load of successful spot welds all the way down it for that nice little factory look. Yes, we've got the fan on again. Where's the fan? Like the biggest fan in the universe, because it is freaking hot again. So now the challenge is, because I don't want to have to drill holes through my new piece of metal, and now I've got to find a way to hold this flush while I plug weld it on. Yes, because it should have a slight curve in it, but I'm not interested in putting a slight curve in this. It doesn't need it. It does not need it. So yes, I've just got to come up with a way to wedge that in there now. So that became pretty difficult. What is that? As you can see, I got the settings pretty much dialed in the further I went down, which was kind of annoying really, but it is what it is. I'm going to grind them back anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But there we go, the panel is in. The floor is no longer rotten. And if you're wondering what I did about this side, well, there you go. I just welded a piece in, and I've just got some fiberglass over the top of it before it gets painted, seam sealed and everything else. I've sprayed the weld through primer in here, because again it's rust proof. It still needs a thorough coat because I ran out when I'd done this area. Going to spray all the weld through primer down here as well, because this is all the rust converter that's been put on. Yeah, so I'm quite happy with the results. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to grind those down a little bit. We'll get some paint on it. We'll get some paint on this area, and then that should be this bit done. And that's just another piece of the car repaired and looking as good as I could get it. So yeah, so I cannot complain, although they clearly have changed the ingredients in the weld through primer, because look at it, it's a completely different colour. It doesn't even match with the older stuff. It's mad. Got a small hole there that needs going over, but other than that I am totally happy with how that has come out. So what is left to do on this floor wise? This bit, innit? It's gonna have to be this bit next. Whee! We're gonna have to tackle. This is the passenger rear footwell where when you sit in the back, this is where your passengers would put their feet. Obviously, you've got the spring hanger. So yes, I think this should be the next piece we tackle. So the next video, we're going to be tackling this. Well, thank you for watching. I've been Lee. This has been Retro Cars Reborn. I've got more stuff done to the Capri, so that's been good. Give us a like, remember to subscribe, and I shall see you in the next video.